All right, this is where we were last week. This is he was talking. I'll read it. We'll read it very quickly, and then we'll go to the next verse. And I, Daniel, alone saw the vision, for the men that were with me saw not the vision, but a great quaking fell upon them, so that they fled and hid themselves. They didn't see what was going on. They just, this the very presence of this manifestation. They could sense it and know it was there. Therefore I was left alone, and I saw this great vision, and there remained no strength in me, for my comeliness was turned in me into corruption, and I retained no strength. Okay, this is all preliminary. We haven't even got to the vision. We won't get to the vision to chapter 11. He's going through a preliminary explanation here. Then in verse 9 he says, "Yet heard I the voice of his words." Now remember, this is the manifestation of this being that we talked about being maybe the pre-incarnate Christ appearing, because of the glory that was right. And when I heard the voice of his words, then was I in a deep sleep on my face, and my face toward the ground. So I assumed that he was just laying in the spirit, there, because he's on his face in the ground. Okay, this is where we get to the next verses, the ones we have got to. And behold, a hand touched me. Every time I read that, I think about that song. He touched me, But anyway, and behold, a hand touched me, which set me upon my knees and up on the palms of my hands. So this priest set him up on his hands and knees. The guy woke him up. And he said unto me, O Daniel, a man greatly beloved, understand the words that I speak unto thee, and stand upright, for unto thee am I now sent. And when he had spoken this word unto me, I stood trembling. So he now is on his feet. First he's on his hands and knees. Now he's on his feet. Remember that the angel got him on his hands and knees, but the angel told him to stand up. We might deal with that a little bit later. And behold, a hand touched me, which set me upon my knees and upon the palms of my hand. Now this may be that transition. Last week I talked about that first picture you got may be a manifestation of the Lord himself, where later we see that an angel is talking. This may be where that transition takes place, because there's an angel that begins ministering to. Now an angel is waking Daniel up from this deep sleep and getting him on his feet. First, Daniel is raised to his knees and the palms of his hands, and then he's told to stand up. I don't know. That just kind of ministered to me. The angel's helping him get part way, but at one point he's saying, "You got to get to do the rest. You got to stand up." And it just kind of ministered to me that God will get you in certain positions, and then he said, then it's up to you to go ahead and get the rest of the way. So I don't know. That's kind of ministered to me, isn't it? And he said unto me, O Daniel, a man greatly beloved. Now in chapter 9, verse 23, Gabriel told Daniel that he was a greatly beloved. And then we find here twice in this chapter, he tells him again he's greatly beloved. Wouldn't that be great to have an angel show up?
Yeah.
And tell you, Lynn, in heaven you're greatly beloved.
Wow.
I mean, we know that already, because the Bible has told us that. Just thinking about Daniel, in that having this angel come to him, and 3 times now he's told him. It will be 3 times. He's told him, you're a man greatly, in heaven you're a man greatly beloved. Isn't that neat? And then in verse 12 it says, Then said he unto me, Fear not, Daniel, for from the first day that thou didst set thine heart to understand, and to chasten thyself before thy God. Thy words were heard, and I am come for thy words. All right, the angel saying, okay, when you first started to pray, I was dispatched to bring you the answer. But notice another thing. He uses the phrase, from the day that you started to pray, and he said, chasten thyself. Remember, 21 days he had fasted and not eat any pleasant bread and all of this. Brings out a point that some years ago I come to understand, is that you don't fasten to get God to do something. You fasten to chasten yourself when you feel like that something is getting out of whack. You're not in the position where you're loving God and serving God and walking with God, That's when you begin to fast and pray, Because if you chasten yourself, then God will have to, Well, anyway. Then in verse 13 he said, but the prince of the kingdom of Persia withstood me 21 days. Remember, I don't know whether there's any significance to it, but that's a multiple of 7. And 7 being a perfect number. 21 days he prayed. And remember, I told you last week, this is the Passover season when he's doing this. So just suppose, and I can suppose, that he started his prayer on the 1st of Nisan, or 1st of Abib, the first month that Passover falls in. Suppose he started on that day and he prayed for 21 days. He would have finished, after the Feast of Unleavened Bread. On the last day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread, he would have finished. And remember, the Bible tells us it was the 24th day of that month, 3 days later, that he saw this vision. Okay? That's it. And lo, Michael, one of the chief priests, let me read it, 13 again. But the prince of the king, wait, where am I at? Then said he unto me, fear not, Daniel, for from the first day that thou didst set thine heart to understand and to chasten thyself before thy God, thy words were heard, and I am come for thy words. But the prince of the kingdom of Persia withstood me 21 days. But lo, Michael, one of the chief princes, came to help me, and I remained there with the king of Persia. Now I am come to make thee understand what shall befall thy people in the latter days, for yet the vision is for many days. So to Daniel, I've come to tell you what's going to happen. Now, using the word fear not, have any of you heard that there's 365 fear nots in the Bible? Anybody heard that? Well, if you have heard it, it's not true. I'm a stickler for, when I hear something, I'm a stickler for finding out if that's true. Because you have so much garbage floating around nowadays, even in the Christian ranks. Okay. Another example is that when the high priest would go into the most holy place, that the bells on his robe would be ringing, and you'd know that if he died, they'd have a rope tied to his leg, and you could pull him out if he died, Wrong. The Bible clearly tells that on the day of atonement that he was dressed in linen garments, just like the other priest when he went in. He did not wear the fancy robes and so forth. But I was even reading a Jewish publication a few months ago. And in that they were talking about the high priest going in his robes into the most holy place, and the bells ringing and a rope tied to his foot and all of this. And not so. That's not the way it happened. Okay, going back to the fear not. Now, what I'm going to say here doesn't make a lot of difference. I'm just trying to correct something. Is that the angel told Daniel, said, fear not. Daniel is trembling. Remember, he got him to his feet, but he said it's trembling, and I can identify that he's, if it happened to me, I'd probably be doing the same thing. But just talking about it, in the King James, there's 74 fear nots, there's 29 be not afraid. In the New American Standard, there's 4 fear nots, there's 57 do not fear, 46 do not be afraid. At the very best, fear not in all of its forms can only be found 314 times. If you use words like dreadful, terrible, anything you can, I got terrible in there twice, but anything that you can come up with that would in any way fit, you still can't come up to 365. Here's another thing. What about leap year? If you got a fear, if they say you got a fear not for every day of the year, well, what about when it comes to February and you got an extra day? Is that the day, that there's no fear not to cover that day? And if you look at it, fear not in all these translations, just checking the blueletterbible.com, New King James Version 129, NIV 66, NASB 127, so forth and so on. All of these versions here. Okay, that's just to clarify that. Make sure, fear not up here. All you need is one.
Yeah.
If the God's word says fear not and be not afraid, that's all you need. You don't need what. All you need is that one fear not. Okay. All right. Let's get back to the lesson. Prince of the kingdom of Persia. This reveals something that's going on that up to this point is kind of been hidden. That there's a battle going on in the spiritual world. And it's a battle for nations and for souls. There are spirits. This indicates that there are spirits that are assigned to different nations. And also God seems, the Bible indicates that He has assigned certain angels to different nations. But there's a battle going on. And I think that America is reaping the results of a battle that's going on for this nation. I believe there is a demonic spirit that is attacking this nation. Now that's just Raymond, but that's my there's a battle going on for the nations of the world. And this angel said, from the first day that you prayed, I was dispatched to bring you an answer. It's not how long, how hard you pray to get God to respond. It's how you pray in faith, asking God. I don't know exactly how Daniel was praying. He was praying for understanding, because that's what the angel said. Daniel, I come to give you understanding. On your feet. Yes.
One thing I think is very important to me, it's always stood out. He said, I'm come for your words. I think it's very important, the words that we pray. Throwing a lot of ifs in there, and if it is your will and stuff like that. That's not right kind of praying. We should know God's will. We should know His word. And the angel said he came for His words. So evidently His words were pleasing to God, and they were in faith. They were really seeking God's face. To me, that's just right. It just stands out.
Well, that's like it says. You don't have not because you don't ask. Well, if you're not specific with your request to God, you have to. One part of it is to be specific. Now, there's areas that when you don't know, you don't know how to pray. That's when the Holy Spirit comes in. That's when the Holy Ghost steps in.
That's it.
And Exactly. But for 21 days, this prince of the kingdom of Persia that was over in some form or fashion, it was over the Persian. Who is this prince of the kingdom of Persia? Well, there are a lot of commentaries, ancient, older commentaries, that will say they think it had to do with Cyrus. In some way, form, or fashion. I think it's talking about demonic prince over Persia that withstood this angel from coming. And then it says Michael, one of the chief princes. Notice that one. That means that there are others that are over things. This is Michael, which we know that is spoken of in the Bible 3 times in the Old Testament, here in Daniel, 2 times in the New Testament, and we know that Michael's role is to watch over Israel, because it says in Daniel chapter 12, and at this time shall Michael stand up, the great prince which standeth for the children of thy people, speaking to Daniel. So it tells us clearly that Michael is assigned to the children of Israel. Do you think we have an angel assigned to this country from God?
We do.
You know, I'm persuaded to believe if we didn't have, someone that was kind of holding back the flood tide of evil, that we would just be washed away.
That's right.
Some restriction, something holding things back. So now I am come to make thee understand. So what Daniel and the specific thing he's bringing for him to understand is what's going to happen to his people and Jerusalem and the nation of Israel. Verse 15. And when he had spoken such words unto me, I set my face toward the ground, and I became dumb. And behold, one like the similitude of the sons of men touched my lips. Then I opened my mouth and spake, and said unto him that stood before me, O my Lord, by the vision my sorrow, by the vision my sorrows are turned upon me, and I have retained no strength. For how can the servant of this my Lord talk with this my Lord? For as for me straightway there remain no strength in me, neither is there breath left in me. So I mean it's overwhelming to Daniel. It would be to you and I. Now it's not a dream. I mean he's seeing this. He was standing by the river. And all of a sudden, this began to take place. So it's not a dream, And so he's having trouble standing up. He's having trouble. All of his energy is going, Now these sons of men we see here, we'll see several times this thing. We don't know exactly how many angels are either on it. We know at least 3. I mean, I know at least 3 different angels seems to be in play here. So there's a lot have come. But it seems to be that the main angel, seems to be some type of high archangel, as well as Michael being some kind of high archangel, But that's all supposition, so we just have to, And of course, like Isaiah, remember in Isaiah how he felt, I am a man of unclean lips in the midst of people of unclean lips. This is the 3rd time now that Daniel has got to be strengthened. I don't have a problem with that. I mean, I can understand when your strength runs out, when you're zapped and there's not anything left. But to have the angels, remember the Lord in the Garden of Gethsemane was strengthened. Remember that he was ministered to when he was in the wilderness being tempted, you know. Remember Elijah, you know, when when Jezebel said that she was going to kill him, you know, he fled, you know, he was ministered to by an angel, you know. So, it's a good thing. Fact of the matter is, Hebrews tells us that they're ministering spirits sent to minister for the heirs of salvation. Folks, don't be surprised if an angel don't show up sometime at your door.
You don't know that they haven't all this.
Maybe if you come in and wait with the kids.
You won't want to clean house.
No, you come in while you're busy.
You won't a babysitter. What I'm saying is don't be surprised if one of the ministering spirits show up to bring relief to you.
Yeah.
Chapter 12 of the book of Acts. Peter's laying between two guards, chained to him. There's another guard that's part way down the hall and another one on down there. There's 4 altogether. He's in prison. James, the brother of John, has just been killed by the sword by a guy called Herod Agrippa. What happens? An angel shows up in the cell. Wakes Peter up, says, "Put your shoes on, boy." Chains fall off. He said, "Put your clothes on, get your shoes on. We're out of here." And the Bible said, don't tell us what happened, what the guards that were chained to him. Don't say whether they were asleep or what, but they never knew what was happening. He gets up and they walk out. They walk by the first guard that was posted, and they walk by the second guard. And when they get to the iron gate, the Bible says the gate just opened by itself, automatic door open, you know. And he walks out. And the Bible says that Peter didn't know what was happening. He thought he was dreaming. After he gets out, walks through the iron gate, gets outside, and the angel left, the Bible says he comes to himself. I mean, wait a minute, this is not a dream. An angel has showed up to get me out of here. One of the greatest jailbreaks in history.
Yes.
I mean, the guard, and the next day, when they finally realized that he was gone, the Bible says that the guards were talking among themselves and trying to figure out what happened. How did he get away? Where'd he go? What happened? You know. Angel showed up.
You lost your life over that one?
God dispatched an angel when the angel
You
showed
know,
up.
Brother Raymond, you hear stories all the time of people that's been in car wrecks and this, that, the other, and somebody showed up to help them. And then when they start telling about it, they can't see that person in the picture, or it wasn't there. And there's people all over that think it was an angel showed up in human form.
Here's the thing about that Peter. He's laying between two guards, and evidently he's just sound asleep. He ain't worried about it.
Yeah.
I mean, the day of Pentecost, and do you know what season it was when this angel showed up? I don't know why I got on the chapter 12 of that book of Acts, but it was Passover. That's the reason Herod had him in jail and hadn't killed him already, is because it was Passover, and he wanted to wait till after Passover because it's not a good idea to kill people during Passover, you know. So he wanted to wait till after Passover. Now, he was really upset when he comes inquiring, "Where's Peter at? Time for me to deal with Peter. Where's Peter?" And the guard,
Gone.
"We don't know. We don't know where he is. We don't know how he got out. We don't know what happened. He's not here." Well, the Bible says that he ordered the guards to be killed. But anyway, back to my point, don't be surprised if an angel shows up.
Amen.
Well, they have people now that are incarcerated with life sentence without parole. There's no way they're gonna get out of prison. There's lots of stories about
Hey,
it.
don't put anything past God. If, keep believing. Well, point, make a pay. Peter was laying there, evidently he wasn't worried about it at all, even though he knew that James had been killed by Herod. And he knew that his destiny probably was going to be the same. And he's laying there sleeping, and the angel comes and get up, boy. Boy, that's Raymond. I mean, get access. Put your shoes on.
Rise and shine.
Yeah, whatever. But anyway, how good is God, folks? I tell you what, how powerful is the God we serve? Yes, ma'am.
I was just gonna say, in Guidepost, there's a story of the last survivor from 9/11. She was buried, and an angel came and held her hand, and dressed in a fireman's suit, because they went to look for him, and there was nobody like that. But as long as she was down there, he talked to her and held her hand, and it was the very last one that they found alive in Twin Towers. And it was so exciting, because, I mean, people say, well, there wasn't any miracles. There was lots of miracles in 9/11. Lots of miracles.
Yeah, people have asked, where was God? And you read reports where people
Everywhere.
you say, well, where was God when all that took place? He's a God of love. Where was he when all that? Yeah, he was there. He was there. And a lot of, you read a lot of testimonies that have to do with that situation.
They said there was quite a few people who had died that morning and was sick, and, they had to stay home. Something hit them, they were really sick. They claimed, God made them sick so they wouldn't be there.
Anyway, I'm gonna quit early because Judy and I are gonna make another event, another church, and we're gonna let Tom come and take care of his request, and I'm gonna roll up and we're gonna slip out, and